Is the Book of Boba Fett teasing a major crime lord's return? As the chapters of the Book of Boba Fett continue to unfold each week, we're seeing new sides of not only the eponymous bounty hunter, but Tatooine and the criminal underworld that's held this desert planet in a vice grip for decades and decades. With mod and Quadrophenia-inspired biker gangs, the live-action arrival of Wookiee gladiator Black Chrysanthemum, and a 2-for-1 sale on Hutts, we're seeing rich new shades of scum and villainy each and every week. And surprisingly little crime from the newly minted crime lord himself, Boba Fett, but I guess that's beside the point.
No one respects you.
Oh, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
And while we were reintroduced to familiar faces in the form of the Pike Syndicate during Chapter 2's Lawrence of Arabia-inspired train heist, new clues in Chapter 3 point towards another major underworld figure just waiting in the wings to make an appearance down the line. And our resident scruffy-looking nerf herder Michael Walsh has a theory about who it could be, how they could appear, and what that means for the future of the criminal underworld in the galaxy far, far away. We're going to break it all down for you in just a moment, but as always, if you prefer to read all about it, Michael Walsh has you covered over on Nerdist.com. However, in order to talk about this in detail, we do need to spoil what happens in the first 3 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett and the War of the Bounty Hunter comics. So if you're not caught up yet, leave now before you see something potentially shocking. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? So we learned 2 major things in the Book of Boba Fett's 3rd episode, The Streets of Mos Espa. 1, the Pike Syndicate are working with Mayor Mok Shaiz and are Boba Fett's biggest Boba threat. And 2, do not interrupt Boba when he's playing with his pet Rancor.
Excuse me, Lord Fett.
Not now, I'm busy.
Neither the Pike Syndicate nor Boba Fett are new faces exactly in this seedy underbelly in the galaxy far, far away. Boba Fett's been a bounty hunter ever since he was released from prison during the Clone Wars, and the Pike Syndicate are a long-standing criminal organization that predates the Clone Wars. They ensure that the narcotic known as spice flows along the Kessel Run so everyone in the galaxy far, far away can get their sweet, sweet nose candy. However, in order to understand where this game of 4-dimensional Jarek that our heroes are playing on the Book of Boba Fett is going, we must look to the past. During the Clone Wars, Darth Maul brought together the most powerful crime syndicates in the galaxy to form an alliance called the Shadow Collective. This cabal consisted of the Pike Syndicate, the Hutts, and the Black Sun crime families, as well as the Death Watch Commandos of Mandalore and the fearsome Night Brothers of Dathomir. Now, the alliance was intended to compete with the growing power of Maul's former master, the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. However, the alliance proved to be short-lived, and the Shadow Collective dissolved when Maul assumed control of Mandalore. Following Darth Maul's defeat at the hands of Darth Sidious and the formation of the Galactic Empire, 5 syndicates took control of the underworld during Palpatine's brutal reign. The Pikes, the Hutts, and the Black Sun all endured, and they were joined by the Cremora and the Crimson Dawn, the latter of which, as we learn in Solo: A Star Wars Story, was run from the shadows by none other than Darth Maul. Now, if you're expecting to see Darth Maul somehow return in the Book of Boba Fett a la Palpatine and Rise of Skywalker, well, I wouldn't hold your breath. As we saw in the Star Wars Rebels Twin Sons episode, the death-defying Sith Lord was killed once and for all by Obi-Wan Kenobi in a duel on Tatooine, roughly 3 years before the Battle of Yavin in A New Hope. However, Darth Maul is not the character poised to make a return appearance in the Book of Boba Fett. Rather, it's another major figure in the Crimson Dawn Syndicate, Qi'ra. That's right, folks, Han Solo's love interest turned badass crime lord could make a triumphant return. After Qi'ra murked Dryden Voss and Solo, she parlayed the power vacuum to become Maul's second-in-command in that organization. We know from Solo: A Star Wars Story that the Crimson Dawn used to have a fragile alliance with the Pike Syndicate to avoid risking an all-out war with the Syndicates. As the Hutt twins say in the Book of Boba Fett, bloodshed is, after all, bad for business. However, with new management came new schemes, specifically a scheme designed to destroy the Empire and pit the most powerful crime families in the galaxy against each other. And it all revolves around the events of the War of the Bounty Hunters crossover, which took place across Star Wars comics in 2021. When Darth Maul found himself shipwrecked on the planet Malachor, Qi'ra stepped up and took full control of the Crimson Dawn. And while Boba Fett was transporting the frozen Han Solo to Jabba's palace following the events of The Empire Strikes Back, the Crimson Dawn had other plans. Lady Qi'ra, as she became known, and the Crimson Dawn stole Han's body and put it up for sale to the highest bidder at a black market auction. Now, the plan wasn't just to make a quick pile of credits, but also to destabilize a burgeoning alliance between the Galactic Empire and the Hutt crime family. And while the gambit leaves a trail of death and destruction in its wake, Qi'ra and the Crimson Dawn ultimately fail. Despite crossing Darth Vader, Qi'ra miraculously escapes with her windpipe uncrushed by the man who thinks that he can force choke all of his problems away. Now, by the time of the Book of Boba Fett, both Qi'ra and the Crimson Dawn are presumably alive and well, albeit nowhere near as powerful as they once were. According to the Smuggler's Guide, written about 20 years after the events of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, the future is not looking bright, though, for any of these crime syndicates. In the book, the Master Codebreaker says the Crimson Dawn was supplanted by organizations like the Sontul Pride and the Guavian Death Gang, the latter of which we saw in The Force Awakens. Even the Pikes and the Hutts are nowhere near as powerful as they used to be in the years following the downfall of the Galactic Empire. So where does that leave us in the Book of Boba Fett? Well, it leaves us with a bunch of old relics from the criminal underworld of years past scrambling to seize control of these lucrative holdings of Jabba's former empire. And it sounds like whatever happens in this show could have a domino effect leading to the downfall of major crime syndicates like the Pikes and the Hutts by the time of the sequel trilogy. While the Hutt twins say they're relinquishing their claim to Tatooine and returning to whatever debaucheries they occupy themselves with on Nal Hutta, I trust them about as far as I can throw them, which is not at all. However, the much more immediate threat to Boba is undeniably going to be the Pike Syndicate. And while it's possible that Boba could just keep recruiting cool cyborg teens with space Vespas to build an army, it's far likelier he needs to make an alliance with another organization. And although we've seen a tense dinner with the Trandoshans, the Aqualish, and the Klatooinians that Bib Fortuna installed in power, it seems far likelier that another syndicate with diminished stock and a vested interest in torpedoing the competition could answer the call, namely the Crimson Dawn. And let's face it, I don't think we're getting Duo, a Star Wars story, anytime soon, but rumors have been swirling about a Qi'ra series being developed for Disney+. And that would make this the perfect time to reintroduce us to a character like Qi'ra on a show like the Book of Boba Fett. Because not only do they have a complicated history thanks to the whole Han Solo auction debacle, but Qi'ra has shown time and time again that she wants to destroy the very syndicates with whom she works. But as the old saying goes, nature abhors a vacuum and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So while Qi'ra's intentions could be noble at first, the chance to seize power on Tatooine for herself could lead to this alliance being as short-lived as Porkins in A New Hope.
Pull up! No, I'm all right.
However, as Michael Walsh wrote on Nerdist.com, if Boba can make friends with a Rancor, getting along with Qi'ra should at least be possible. After all, she's got to be easier to work with than Jabba. Nobody liked that guy.
Oh, I can't bear to watch.
As with any Star Wars theory, take this with a grain of crate until we see more evidence. And with that said, we'll be keeping our eyes peeled as the Book of Boba Fett continues to show us how exactly ruling with respect is working out for old Robert Fettuccine.
No one respects you.
Enough!
In the meantime, we'll have plenty of other Star Wars deep dives just waiting for you on Nerdist.com. Case in point, Michael Walsh has everything you need to know about all the major crime syndicates menacing the galaxy far, far away, which I will link to in the description below. For now, though, tell us, what do you think of this theory? Do you want to see Qi'ra return to Star Wars in this show or a prequel series?
Yes.
What other bounty hunters and criminals do you want to see on the Book of Boba Fett?
Bounty hunters. We don't need that scum.
Yes, sir.
Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.